What's up, YouTube? I'm Valentin the Mad, and this is a Gore review of Hitman. In the end of my Gore review for Absolution, I mentioned that the response mechanics in the next game could go either way. Be absolutely glorious and deliver, or have a bunch of really odd issues. My first impression with the beta was the latter. However, it was a beta, and the content of it was a draining mission where no one really gets killed, so for those reasons some response mechanics may have been disabled or somewhat altered. Well, the first episode has been officially released now, and it contains an actual mission, so it's time to find out how gory the new Hitman game really is. I'll be reviewing every aspect of the game's core effects, and the score will be set based on 4 categories: body damage, environment, animations and sounds, the feel. As with every game in the series, there is no dismemberment. Not a big deal by all means. There are plenty of other mechanics a game can nail and still feel very brutal. When it comes to body damage, those mechanics would be wounds. So what do we have? Holes for gunfire and several types of wounds for sharp weapons. I have to say that I'm very disappointed with the looks. Not only were they much gorier in Absolution, some wounds in the game are too damn mild. This is the result of an axe to the head. And this is the result of slicing a character's throat. It could and should be much bloodier and messier. And if that looks bad, body damage for blunt weapons has been removed entirely. A hammer or a crowbar to the head will just make characters sleepy with no marks anywhere. But hey, some body damage mechanics did stay from Absolution. Punches and explosives still won't cause anything. Shot a character and then put his clothes on. The wounds on the body and the blood on the clothes magically vanish. And of course, wounds still disappear after a while. I did a deeper discussion on each one of those in the Absolution Gore review, and I simply prefer to focus on other things for this one. You have blood splatter after hits, an actually functional blood gushing effect, and blood pools for dead characters. The blood splatter looks good, and we actually have a cool new addition, a blood dripping effect. The process doesn't look as good as Brutal Doom or Hatred, but I really dig the end result. The issue with the splatter is unfortunately a very common one. It will appear only if there is a surface right behind the character. If there is nothing, you won't see any stains. Not sure why can't they simply spawn a blood stain on the floor behind the character. Another cool new addition is the blood gushing effect after executions. This effect will actually spawn a trail of blood drops on the ground. While this logic is very simple, many games have blood spinning effects that leave absolutely no stains, so IO Interactive deserve all of the credit for getting this right. I do think that a trail of blood drops should happen with wounded characters as well. The intensity of the dripping would be determined by the amount of shots the character took, and the bleed out function would also be a great addition to that. Now, how is the mess in the long term? Bodies stay permanently, but the blood vanishes after a while, and as I mentioned previously, wounds disappear too. As I said repeatedly in the Gore reviews, the amount of blood and bodies when it comes to other games should always be configurable on PC, but I actually wanna focus on something else now. Blood is no longer a gameplay mechanic. In Blood Money, characters react to stains and follow the blood trail if you drag the body somewhere. In Absolution, characters react to blood pools even after they vanished, but in the new game, they no longer care.
Say what? Whatever.
That's the reaction, and he's commenting on the coin, not on the mess. I praised the series in the past for having blood as a gameplay mechanic, and it's a shame seeing this feature removed. You have response animations on impact, death animations merging with physics, executions for melee attacks, and characters may fall after non-fatal shots. As I said in the Absolution Gore Review, executions are a great approach for melee kills in a game where melee is not the main focus. Feels much more natural than seeing a clunky attack animation followed by a generic response animation. The death animations are still very short, but the biggest improvement is not in the animation itself, but in what happens after it. Characters will twitch and do subtle movements for some time before dying. It's a really brutal and awesome small feature that most games overlook, so major props to IO Interactive for this one too. The biggest issue in the animations department is also a very common one. There are no changes of behavior for wounded characters. You can shoot someone several times and they'll keep running like nothing happened. Just like bleeding, changes of behavior could be more than just a visual response thing. Imagine the following scenario. You shoot a character and he is now limping away trying to find help. Just as he gets to the guards he collapses, but dies before they manage to find someone to treat him. While he was on the floor bleeding out, he vaguely described what happened, which may or may not blow your cover. If someone does manage to treat him in time, he could tell what happened in detail. Wounded behaviors is something that is largely unexplored in gaming, and it's an absolute shame. The response sounds for melee are decent for the most part. Not over the top brutal, but they deliver good feedback. What is missing is a blood spilling sound for the gushing effect. You hear the initial slice, the character gargling for a few seconds, but other than that nothing. And speaking of it, the character response sounds are too bloody short. I don't remember them being very brutal in any game of the series, but it seems that this too was somewhat nerfed compared to Absolution. The comments, however, are awesome. Whether you are pointing a gun at characters, or they just saw you kill someone, the reactions are great, and they're the best part of the sound aspect.
Christ, somebody help me!
Command, the hell are you doing? What the?
A game can feel very responsive and brutal even without dismemberment. And while Hitman does offer some really cool features when it comes to blood spilling and animations, it still doesn't feel right. The body damage is disappointing. Characters can still take bullets and not care about it, and blood still disappears without any option to make it stay. So the score for body damage is 5 out of 30. The score for environment is 15 out of 30. The score for animations and sounds is 17 out of 30. I give the feel a score of 4 out of 10. So this gives the gore system of Hitman a total score of 41 out of 100. When compared to the previous games, Hitman is not a clear step forward. The body damage has been nerfed from Absolution, and despite the new additions, I still think that the spilling was better in Blood Money. I do hope that the response mechanics will be improved before the final episode is released, but I wouldn't count on it. Gore aside, would I recommend this game? Gameplay wise, yes. The levels are open, you have plenty of ways to approach your assignment, and the biggest issues of Absolution are not there anymore. They found a good balance for the disguise system and there are no pointless filler content levels, at least in the first episode. However, I'm not a fan of that episodic release. It makes no sense for this game. I'll be waiting for the whole thing to come out before I'll consider buying the remaining episodes. Hope you enjoyed watching the review. Let me know how you feel in the comment section, and if you liked the video, subscribe and share it with your friends. You can find the link to all of my Gore reviews in the video description. Until next time.